The ninth anniversary LRs have made their triumphant return. But who should you buy with your hard-earned Carnival coins? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we are taking a look at the Black Friday Legendary Summon Carnival banner and determining which of the units available here are worth your hard-earned Carnival coins. That's right, we have a bunch of LRs available on this banner, including the return of the 9th anniversary Gogeta, the GAMMAS, Omega Shenron making his debut return, as well as a few other EZA LRs and Carnival LR, like the LR5 guys. And surprisingly, Cell Max on the banner too. So the question is, which one of these guys is worth your 500 coins? That's right, 2,500 stones is what you're going to have to spend to get 500 coins to pick up one of these guys. So who is worth that much? That is the big question here. Is it the Gogeta? Is it the GAMMAS? Is it the Omega making his first return after a year? That's right, it took him a full year on Global to finally make his return. Or is it someone else? Well, let's start by taking a look at the 9th anniversary LRs, the Gogeta and the GAMMAS. Both of these guys are incredibly powerful. Gogeta stacking up defense in his base form with guard makes for a pretty powerful, early turn sort of damage mitigator. Of course, big supers could take him out in early fights like Gogeta and Janemba, but with the right setups, right, he can end up taking normals and then holding off until you get to his transformation in the Super Saiyan Blue. That's when things really kick off for him, because once he gets to Super Saiyan Blue, he gains 70% chance to dodge and access to one of the more powerful target skills in the game, which basically directs all attacks towards him, gives him 100% dodge, and builds his crit for the turn, while also allowing him to massively raise his attack with each attack that he does for 4 turns. So honestly, he's pretty good, and I would argue he's probably better than the GAMMAS in most cases because of that tech that he has with the target skills. That isn't to say the GAMMAS are any slouches either, right? They are excellent support for the superheroes team, providing near 60% support for superheroes, joint forces, defenders of justice, giving a powerful standby as well, right? They have one of those standbys where they build up, but can still attack, right? They build up through the number of attacks performed, like Trunks, and once you hit the certain amount of Trunks on their a certain amount of attacks on their standby, they can launch a powerful finish skill, which can deal quite a bit of damage if played correctly, and then take them into exchange with the Gamma 1. Once exchanged into the Gamma 1, not only does he become way more powerful than they were in base form, he also gains the ability to raise defense for 2 turns through his super attack effect, which we have seen is an incredibly powerful skill, as well as providing the additional support to superheroes as well. So they are a great unit, but between the two, if you had to pick your Carnival coins, I would say that Gogeta is probably the more likely candidate for the use of those coins. You're going to get more out of him for less, let's say that, right? You got to put a little work into the GAMMAS to make it more. The payoff is great, but Gogeta is just kind of there. In fact, I find myself running Gogeta as a floater more often than not on a lot of the teams I would use him in. Like the Super Saiyans team is a good place, right? He's not really hanging out on rotation. You're just holding off until you need to use that target activation skill whenever, just to buy yourself a turn or two, right? So of the two, Gogeta is definitely worth it. But here's the thing we should consider, right? While these guys are the 9th anniversary LRs making their first return, which is something they haven't done with Carnival LRs before, it's worth noting that here at the end of January into February, they're both going to come back again, much sooner than probably any other character on this list. There's a chance they couldn't be, right? There's always a chance that they could switch things up majorly, but chances are they're an anniversary LR. They're going to be on the next anniversary banner. So if you're willing to wait the 2 months for that to happen, then maybe you can use your Carnival coins elsewhere. After all, it did take you 500. You may want to use somebody that's going to be good for your box and may not have a chance of coming back very soon. So before we get into the next possible choices for you to pick up, let me say this. If you did not get the Super Saiyan Gohan from the Worldwide Download Celebration or the LR Tech Broly and you have less than 1,000 Carnival coins, do not pick up one of these next characters. Although they are extremely valuable, the character I'm going to recommend, don't give them up in place for one of these two, right? LR Tech Broly, I would find it very hard to imagine, no matter what the anniversary power creep brings, to see these guys fall out of any kind of usage, right? Tech Broly is just too powerful. What it would take to age him out would age out literally the entire game. So, right, it would be equivalent of trying to age out Beast Gohan, which I don't think the 10th anniversary is going to be capable of. That's a bit too much. So if you are missing one of these guys, I would hold your coins till the anniversary. Now, with that said, bear in mind that unlike the Dokkan Fest, no one else on the Carnival banner is noted to be making a return. On the Dokkan Fest, a few of the units, like the Broly, are mentioned to be making a Dokkan Fest return here very shortly. So, knowing that there's a good chance we may, other than the anniversary LRs, we might not see anyone else here featured again, because if they were, they would be mentioned, I shouldn't say featured again. We might not see them again featured again soon, because if they were, they would be mentioned down here, like the Broly, or like how we saw with Goku Black and a few others prior to the crossover banner. So keep that in mind. So with that in mind, your other two options for your Carnival coins are the Omega Shenron. This is his first ever return, and as much as I would love to recommend this guy, because I know a lot of people skipped out on him on January, one, expecting him to get better in time, right? By the time he comes back, he would find a better home, and two, that he would come back within a well enough time frame to be useful. Unfortunately, neither of those things happen. He is now returning 2 months out from the anniversary, where things are likely to move past him, and we still haven't gotten any GT bosses buffs. So unfortunately, he finds himself in a really, really bad spot. So unless you have all available Carnival LR characters and he's the only one you're missing, I would not recommend picking up Omega Shenron for the time being, unless the next reveal is somehow like a Dokkan Fest baby, and they just easy a bunch of random GT boss units. Like, I mean, who could they easy a here? Let's pull this up real quick. There aren't even much choices left. There's like Sen Shenron, the tech one. They could easy a this guy. Sub EZA this guy, EZA this guy as a battlefield. So it could work, right? They could throw a bunch of stuff together to build a decent GT bosses team, but even then, Omega would probably within the month find himself off the team anyways. So, it's the unfortunate reality of GT bosses. It's been sort of like the forgotten child of Dokkan, apparently. So with that in mind, there is one other pick that's probably more worth it than all the others if you have them, right? If you have the other units, or you're willing to wait for Gogeta and GAMMAS and these guys to make their return on the Carnival banners during the anniversary, then actually Cell Max is a surprising pick. And I say this because yellow coins are basically obsolete, right? Most people are not summoning on the yellow coin banners and haven't been for quite some time. To add on to that, right now with the introduction of Pity and Guaranteed Featured, most people aren't building up yellow coins, all right? If you're summoning on a banner like this, you're probably gonna pick him up on the featured, like for example, if you summon on Cell Max's banner, you probably picked him up on the featured banner list, right? And if you didn't, right, on one of the guaranteed featured steps, then you probably ended up getting shafted, like I did, and having to go to pity. Either way, you don't have any coins left over after that because you used them to buy him. So what does that mean for the rest of the players, right? The rest of the players who haven't really been summoning on these banners don't have the coins to back them up, but they probably have a bunch of carnival coins lying around. So I would honestly argue that if you've got the carnival coins, this is the one time I would say that a non-carnival LR is actually worth the carnival coin grab. Because Selmax, I mean, like the others, I mean, he can be a little tricky to play around. He does need the super bosses setup or full movie bosses or artificial life forms. In fact, I find that the movie bosses setup that utilizes the Bio Broly and the Int Boo actually works pretty well on Int Broly's team. Actually works pretty well for him. All things considered, I mean, you don't need to have the full super bosses set up because the artificial life forms through the Bio Broly or the Boo take care of this condition for him, as well as this. Right, his secondary condition of needing all movie bosses. The only issue becomes with this one here, right? His activation condition, which is fine, right? You just got to hold him off till turn 6 otherwise. So, given that, he's definitely worth the coins. He's an incredibly powerful unit and a great addition to the movie bosses team, since super bosses seems to have gotten left to the wayside this year. And I don't make this recommendation lightly. Oftentimes, I will not recommend purchasing one of these guys, especially with carnival coins, when there are other better options. But he's one of the few exceptions this year. So, with that in mind, just to recap, the priorities, right? Gogeta is probably priority number 1 of the 9th anniversary LRs, unless you don't have the worldwide LRs. Otherwise, they should be priority waiting out till the anniversary. But if you have them, then Gogeta is your priority. If you have Gogeta or are willing to wait, then Selmax is a great option to pick up with your 500 coins. So guys, that is it for the video. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and in the comments down below, let us know, who are you going to pick with your hard-earned carnival coins? Again, I know it took you 2,500 stones to get those coins. Is anybody on this featured list worth it, or are you waiting for the worldwide LRs to return, or are you just going to hold out altogether and wait for Gogeta and the Gammas to come back later? Or are you one of those crazy few picking up Selmax? Honestly, if I had the carnival coins to spare and didn't get shafted during worldwide, I would probably grab a copy of Selmax, minus 55%. I would love to have that 69% copy. But let me know in the comments down below what you plan to do. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.